No, we have a lady here. I looked at it and I thought, wait a minute, I thought there was,
I'm a tomboy.
there you go. I hope you're ready for this because we have a lot of questions. It's looking really good. And the good news is you only have an hour, so we're not giving them all, we're going to try to. And to let you all who are new entries here, we've been here for an hour with the school board, I want to remind you all that this is a nonpartisan organization. This is a forum. Our candidates answer the questions that you propose. This is your forum. And before I sit down, because I have a cold and I'm not going to do a lot of talking today, which is odd. But I do want to tell you how much I appreciate your being here and how much I hope that every one of you that is here will vote. A lot of people do not vote in all presidential elections. But this is more important, as far as I'm concerned. Local elections are way more important. So don't waste your vote. Show up at the polls, do your duty as a citizen, and elect the person that you believe is the right one for the job. Now, these people are, in fact, looking for a job. You all are human resources. You all will decide who gets hired. It's a big responsibility, it's an important responsibility, and I hope you will all take part in that. Now, I'm going to turn this over to our voter chair, Ms. Nadine Tatum, to introduce our speaker, our moderator, and tell you what our rules are.
Good afternoon, everybody. For some of you who were here for the school board forum, this will be a repeat, but we just want everyone to be on the same page in terms of what our forum rules are. We have all the candidates appearing in person. That is one of our requirements, and we're glad to see all of them here today. No campaign material, banners, posters, leaflets, or buttons are to be allowed in the forum hall. You can distribute those outside at the conclusion of the forum. Each candidate is going to be allowed 3 minutes for opening remarks, 1 minute for each response to questions, and a 2-minute closing statement. No questions of a personal nature will be permitted. You can offer cards on which to print your questions. We have quite a few. Questioners will be asked to note on the front to whom the question is directed. I think most of you have done that. Questions can be directed to one candidate or all candidates. However, questions directed to only one candidate will also be subject to responses from all of the candidates. The moderator is going to rotate the order in which the candidates are selected to begin their replies to the questions. Each candidate has an opportunity to respond to each question. However, if a candidate passes on a particular question, when it is their turn, they will forfeit their opportunity to respond to the question later. One chance. We have a committee that is screening the questions for repetition, clarity, and balance before providing them to the moderator. That's so that we can ask as many questions as possible, and there are some questions that are similar in nature, so that if your question is not asked, that's probably why. A mid-pin vote member, Ms. Becky Deal, sitting in front, is serving as the timer for our debate today. She will hold up a paddle, exposing a yellow side to the candidate when there are 15 seconds left in the response time, and she will hold up the red side when the time is up. If, as a candidate, you fail to respond to those signals, you will be interrupted by the moderator and asked to end your response. And that's it for our forum rules. It is now my pleasure, and I will skip the lengthy introduction. I think most of you know Reese Williams, who is the News and Public Affairs Director for radio station WXTM, FM 99.1, and she is our moderator for today's forum.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm also hoping the committee is looking at legibility as well for me up here when I use screen those. And I'm going to work on my volume as well. I'm using having a microphone amplify my voice, so I need to project a little more. We'll begin with each candidate's 3-minute opening statement. I'll start on the left-hand side of the table with Mr. Bazzani. Please include your district as well.
Hello folks, my name is Phil Bazzani. I'm running for the York District Board of Supervisors here in Gloucester County. I thank the MedPen folks for having us all here. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. A little bit about myself. I retired from Newport News Shipbuilding last year after 34 years of service, and I ran the finances for an $8 billion submarine program. I'm a graduate of the College of William & Mary. I have an MBA in finance from Old Dominion University. I'm an assistant professor of finance at Christian Newport University's Lunar School of Business. And I'm an investment banker where I buy and sell businesses from $10 to $100 million. Now, I've spoken to 1,000 people in my district, at least that much. And they've told me 4 things. Board of supervisors aren't listening to us. They're taxing us every time. School board spending is out of control. And we're not business friendly. Now, I believe that I have the unique experience to help the Board of Supervisors add some value. I'd like to help the other board members ask the specific and detailed questions on any spending and budget issue that comes before the board. We also need to focus on needs, not wants. Let me give you an example. I read somewhere in the paper where a school board member wants to build a swimming pool at the old Page Middle site. Now, here we have a situation where we're building a new school at a site across the street where a majority of the county citizens do not want. We could have rebuilt the school at the old site. We could have had our children in school a year ago. But what do we have instead? We have children riding school buses, getting up in the dark, riding school buses 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week, 60 hours a month. We have a high school that's not even fully accredited. We have teachers, hard-working teachers, and we have county employees who haven't seen a pay raise in years until recently. You know, I'm not a large landowner here in Gloucester County. I don't have large properties here. I'm just one person with one piece of property that's getting more and more expensive to live in. I attended the Guinea Jubilee a few weeks ago, and I really met a lot of people. That's where I met a lot of people, going door to door and going to the Guinea Jubilee. And I will tell you that one thing that stuck in my mind that people told me, said, Philip, we're not voting for anyone whose grandmother picked tomatoes with my grandmother anymore. So I heard that. And so don't vote for me because I'm a nice guy. Vote for me because I'm the best qualified candidate to do this job. I'm offering a choice to the people of Gloucester County. I'm offering a choice where I'm offering results-oriented, new, fresh ideas, as opposed to tried and failed government experience. So, when you go to the polls this November, remember, it's your tax money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bazzani. Your opening statement, Mr. Blake.
Again, I thank everybody for coming out on a nasty afternoon to be with us. I'll take a few minutes of your time to go over my background, experience, and positions. I'm running for the York District seat for the Board of Supervisors that runs from Guinea to Zanonie. A lot of people don't realize now how large the district is. I'm a lifelong resident of Gloucester County and the York District. My wife and I have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren who attend the Gloucester school system. I graduated from Gloucester High School and Lynchburg College. I served in the Virginia Air National Guard and the U.S. Air Force. My background reflects experience and involvement in the county in the way of life for me. My career focused on financial institutions. I was a state bank examiner and worked in local banks for 25 years. I am now retired and raised Black Angus cattle, a few chickens, and oysters. I've been a member of the Abington Reuton Club for 45 years and I'm past president. I've also served on the Gloucester School Board for 14 years, the Board of Supervisors for 12 years. Prior to that, I served on the Planning Commission, Social Service Board, and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. I'm frequently asked why I want to jump back into governmental service after service for so many years. It's a very difficult and time-consuming job. The bottom line is that this is my home, I love this county and its people, and I think I can bring a unique perspective to the board. I have proven governmental experience. In January, no member of our board will have been on the board longer than 2 years. While a fresh perspective is always valuable as well, I also have historical and institutional experience, including public education experience, that will well serve the county in the coming years, particularly as the new middle school is being built and completed, and we seek to have better cooperation between the two boards. I've always been a strong supporter of public education within the realm of what we can afford. I believe we should grow the economic tax base of our county by making the county as business friendly as possible. I'm also in favor of full funding of our fire and rescue squads, as I've been a former member of the Abington Fire Department for a number of years. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out, and a special thanks to the Middle Peninsula League of Voters for sponsoring this event. My name is Mike Jenkins. I'm an independent candidate for the Petsworth District Supervisor seat. I've been a Gloucester resident for 23 years and currently reside in the Pine Mill neighborhood with my wife, Susan, of 34 years. Susan and I have 3 grown children, one son, Drew, who's married to Amy, 2 daughters, Shelby and Erin. All were educated in Gloucester County's public schools and all graduated from Virginia College. I have an associate's degree from Rappahannock Community College and a Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science from James Madison University. I have over 36 years of experience in the workforce development job training field. I'm currently the Executive Director of the Bay Consortium Workforce Investment Board. If elected, my goals for Gloucester are as follows: to promote local business and to welcome new ones, to remain respectful of the delicate balance between property rights and managed growth, to take a no-nonsense approach to fiscal management of the county while being supportive of education, law enforcement, first responders, fire and rescue, and other county services. To address the county's financial needs using my work experience in developing and managing large budgets, to govern in a proactive and professional manner to call community Gloucester forward, to maintain accessibility to all constituents. I believe I'm the most qualified candidate for the following 3 reasons. First, I've gained leadership experience and knowledge of this community through my public service, participation in volunteer organizations, and my career advancement. For example, I served 12 years on the Gloucester County School Board, 1 term appointed and 2 terms elected by the voters of the Petsworth District. I participated on several regional economic development committees on the Middle Peninsula and Northern Neck, and as a member of the Gloucester County Education Foundation, I was the race coordinator for the first 2 annual 8K run walks, which raised over $7,000 for the foundation. I'm a past Gloucester County Parks and Recreation Department volunteer, having put in thousands of hours coaching, refereeing, scorekeeping, and many other duties. I've also participated in 7 national multiple sclerosis walks in which hundreds of thousands of dollars have been raised to assist in finding a cure for MS. I'm past president and board member of the Pineville Homeowners Association, and current member of Ware Episcopal Church, where I served 3 terms on the vestry. Second, I have professional experience in the financial management area that I think could contribute as a supervisor if elected. For example, in my current position as Executive Director of the Workforce Board, I've managed annual budgets for over 20 years, ranging anywhere from $1.5 million to $4 million, but never have questioned costs. All these budgets were funded with federal funds, so my point is that I've been a good steward of the government's funds and will be a good steward of the county funds. Third, I truly have a passion for public service, and I appreciate any votes from Petsworth District people who are here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Your opening statement, Mr. Keller?
Hi. First, I would also like to thank everybody for coming out today, the Middle Peninsula voters for putting on this forum. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to hear what all the supervisor candidates have to say. You know, it's a rainy day and also a football day, so a lot of reasons not to be here, but it's great to see this many people show up. I've lived in Gloucester for 10 years with my wife Leslie, who's a lifelong resident of Gloucester, and my 2 boys, Gavin and Landon. Gavin is a senior at Gloucester High School, and Landon is a 6th grader at Peasley. So I've definitely barely missed the tornado tribulations that the school went through. Had one son barely past 8th grade, and one's going to not make it to 8th grade before the trailers are closed. So I was in the Navy for 9 years, and when I got out of the Navy, the reason I got out was my family. I spent a lot of time as a youth going from school to school to school, and I didn't want my kids to have to do that. Both my kids will have started and graduated from Gloucester Public Schools. I'm an information technology consultant, have been for over 22 years. And in that job as an information technology consultant, I've spent countless hours working with multiple departments and companies, getting them to compromise and work together to come up with solutions to help their businesses grow. I believe that as a Board of Supervisors member, that's the value that I bring, the ability to get groups of people to work together and come up with the best solution for whatever the problem or issue is that comes up. I've been a 6-year member of the Gloucester Clean Community Committee, which I believe that our committees and nonprofits in Gloucester are a huge asset to the county. They, in my opinion, they almost supplement the government. They have funding where they help out when people are in need. They provide services such as picking up the garbage, whether it's, dilapidated buildings or whatever it is. These boards and committees need to be encouraged to be grown and for more citizens to get involved. These boards and committees also give the Board of Supervisors recommendations when decisions are to be made, and it's very important. One of the things that I love about Gloucester is the community. I grew up in a county in Indiana, it's about the same size as Gloucester. I moved here right after Isabel, or just as Isabel was hitting. My house was delayed being built, and I was also here through the tornado. I love the fact that when both of those tragedies hit, you go out in the streets and there was people driving up and down the road in their trucks. They had their chainsaws in the back and they were just stopping and helping anybody that needed to be needed. We need to continue to grow that community feeling in Gloucester. I know somebody mentioned the pool at the old Page site. I would love to see a community center where our community could get together and spend time learning about each other and meeting each other. So I look forward to representing Gloucester County as the at-large candidate and making Gloucester a better place to work and live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
Thank you. As a little background, John Meyer, at-large candidate. I was born in Alexandria, Virginia, not in a log cabin, although some people said that. My dad was in the military and spent my early years moving all around the country. I went to the United States Air Force Academy, graduated with a Bachelor of Science there, and have a Master's of Business Administration from College of William and Mary. I was a fighter pilot in the Air Force. I flew combat missions over Iraq and commanded a fighter fleet for operations over Bosnia. After 24 years in the military, I had enough of the Pentagon. Got out, joined a defense consulting company in Indiana, Virginia, and became a vice president for this $90 million corporation. In 2005, my wife Laura and I moved down to Gloucester, and we became come-heres. We kind of like it here, we think we'll stay, so I guess we'll become stay-heres. This is a great community we live in, and we have seen a lot of the community cooperation and spirit that Grant was talking about. I'm currently the part owner and CEO of Synergy Incorporated, another management consulting firm. So what do I bring to the Board of Supervisors that you might be looking for? Well, I have 20 years executive management and leadership experience. But most of all, I bring an ability and a willingness to listen. So what's going on here in Gloucester that maybe needs a little bit more attention? Well, first of all, we have a county government that's become tired of waiting for the economic downturn to end. So it's got things it wants to do and it can't wait to get it done. As a result, county spending's gone up 25% in just the last 4 years. We also have 30% more county employees than we had just 2 years ago. But the economic downturn has not ended, and you and I are not making any more money than we were 4 years ago. So when the people pushed back and said we can't afford those taxes anymore, the county borrowed instead. Our debt burden is now 60% higher than it was 4 years ago. We say we can't afford it, and the county goes ahead and does what it wants anyway. I've talked to people throughout the county, and the thing they have a consensus on is they want control of their government back. If I'm elected, I intend to work closely with the other members of the Board of Supervisors to, one, make the Board of Supervisors more responsive to the people. It is our job to ensure that the county government understands and obeys the will of the people. That we put government growth on hold, no increase in taxes, stop the law. And finally, we need to reverse the order in which we do things. We've got to grow the economy first, and then invest in government services, not the other way around. And we'll do that by taking actions to make Gloucester business friendly. That sounds a lot more intimidating from this side than
Thank you. It is when it's not just a show and tell, isn't it? Mrs. Nichol, your opening statement.
Thank you. She's not going to hit me with that.
No. I can shush you before that happens.
I'll only get the yellow one, okay? Good afternoon, my name is Marcia Nichol. I'm running from the York District. I was born and raised there. I left because my husband had military service, but as soon as we could get back, we came back to Gloucester. I'm not a politician at all, I'm just a concerned citizen. I'm not going to stand up here and say, I can do this, or I can do that, because you can't. I'm only one person. But the only promise I will make is that I will represent the people of my district. I don't know better than they do. I will represent what they want. I have been before the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission several times. Some of them refer to me as a pain in the butt. If I had not spoken out when the aquaculture code change was coming about, it would have been illegal for crab pots and nets and other outside storage equipment to be put in your own yard in the C2 district. Not one person on the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors caught that. Now, what kind of world is this when it's going to be illegal to have crab pots in Guinea? That's crazy. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I'm committed to transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. I agree with Mr. Meyer on a lot of things about we need to pay for what we have. Many citizens and business owners feel as if they have been saddled with excessive regulations also. The regulations cost people money. They cost jobs. They make some people not bring a business into the county because of the excessive regulation, what it's going to bring to them. I think the Board of Supervisors should realize that the ultimate client they have is the people of Gloucester. We need to grow the existing businesses we have, attract new ones, and nurture local entrepreneurs. My husband, David, and I have been to he's 22 years military, not Navy, I was Army. And we've been to over 30 countries between us. And we got Gloucester as soon as I could get back here. And that's where we're going to stay. This is our home. And I want to help Gloucester County prosper and still maintain our heritage. And that's what we got. That's an important part of Gloucester is our heritage. Agriculture and fishing is what made Gloucester County. Not saying there's not room for everything else, but we have to not lose sight of that also. I believe I'm uniquely qualified for a board position because of my background in engineering and surveying, the board, but also from the hands-on knowledge of commercial fishing industry because I grew up 2 houses from Big Island. Thank you very much.
It was better than a slap. Right?
Yeah, at least you didn't throw it at me.
And your opening statement, Mr. Whitewater.
Oh, boy, when I have to follow all these, I don't have any credentials. I've been in Gloucester County for 40 years. I originally lived in York County, where I grew up, went to York High School, graduated, got married, and moved over here. I have 3 adult daughters. They all have college educations. Very proud of them. My wife Janet's here. She's here coaching me. I don't have notes. I speak from the heart. Been on the Planning Commission 13 years. I've been appointed by 4 different supervisors, so they must think I know a little bit about the county. I get around. I'm a building contractor. Been in business 34 years. I've seen a lot of stuff go on in Gloucester that for a long time needs to be changed. And I figured, well, it's time for somebody to step up. I'm a normal citizen. I'm tired of paying taxes, tired of them raising taxes. They bring these new things in from that the board brings in new rules and regulations. And I was out for 2 months from the Planning Commission because I had prostate cancer. And when I came back, they paid me a good compliment. They said, while you were gone, we had somebody sit in your seat just to vote no. I don't like new regulations that hamper people. I believe that Gloucester County is business unfriendly. I've been in business for 34 years, and I see other businesses that try to get started and they can't. And I just want to try to bring a little bit of reality to the board of supervisors. Thank you.
Thank you. We will begin our first question with Mr. Bazzani and work our way down. The first, I think, is again a supplement to opening statements, and it is, what is your vision for Gloucester County and Gloucester County schools? And everyone has 1 minute for their response.
My vision for Gloucester County is to maintain the citizens, maintain the residents who live here, to continue to live here. Right now, Mr. Meyer, Mr. Weinmark, we all agree on the same thing. We have a runaway spending in Gloucester County. And so it's getting more and more expensive to live here. Every day we turn around, there are tax increases. And so for the school system as well, we had, as I said before, we had teachers who had not paid pay increases for the last 3 years until just recently. They're the front line. They're the front line of our school system. And so teachers are our backbone. So combined with the ability to live here, combined with the ability to have a good school system, that's where we should be in Gloucester.
Thank you. Mr. Blake?
Well, my vision of Gloucester is probably different than a lot of us here. My grandfather in Gloucester, my father, and all of my family live here in Gloucester. So I guess my vision of Gloucester, hopefully we can keep it like it's been in the past. Can't always do that because we talk about the actually tax burden and things like that we have on us. Hopefully if we can have enough growth in businesses in the county and make us more business friendly, that we will not have to worry about taxes. Our school system, as far as I'm concerned, is the number one priority we have. We have to try to do the best we can with the amount of money we can afford to keep our school system going. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
My plan for Gloucester, my goal for Gloucester is to move us forward. I agree with everything that's been said about taxes. We need to find ways to diversify our tax base. We can't continue to ask our property owners to shoulder the burden as far as taxes and generating the revenues for the county to operate on. You know, it's a pretty simple equation. The county's mandated to provide certain sets of services, and the job of the board of supervisors is to find that balance and how to fund those in the most effective and efficient way. As far as education, I agree with Mr. Blake. I think education is very important. We need to educate our children. Our children are our future, and I look more at education as an investment more than an expense.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
Yeah, what I see for Gloucester as a county is controlled growth, with the 17 corridor being a business district as per se, and keeping the bedroom community and the rural feel outside of 17. I think Williamsburg did a great job of that. You go down Richmond Road, there's businesses everywhere, but you get off of there, it's still very wooded. As for the public schools, I think the public schools need to become more technologically advanced. Kids nowadays are used to having an iPad, an iPod, or something in front of them, using the computer, and the schools need to utilize that technology better for the education of the children. Thank you.
And Mr. Meyer, could you also remind me of your district?
Sorry,
Your district?
at large. So all of you can come and vote for me. I think the most important thing is we love living in this county, and we want our children, when they graduate from high school, to come back and return to this county. And what's necessary for that is for us to attract outside businesses, light manufacturing, services kind of companies that provide higher paying jobs located here. So our children can leave Gloucester High School, go to college, and they come back, and they can make a living, which is the one thing that seems to be driving them. Reference the educational system. The educational system will sit where it is for a little bit until economic growth allows more money to be put into it. I'd like an increased emphasis on vocational VOTEC education, so we have more skilled people graduating from high school.
Thank you. Mrs. Mickle?
Well, my vision for Gloucester County is we need more businesses here, and we need something to help supplement our taxes. And I think that falls within the regulations. A lot of the regulations are so cost prohibitive for people. And as far as the school, I think while a lot of iPads and all of this, I mean, we could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on things like that for kids, but I just saw something the other day. They took a regular old-fashioned typewriter from the 1920s and set it in a room with a bunch of kids. They dropped every one of their iPads and iPods and went over and played on it because they didn't know what it was. So I think we can do both. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Williams?
Well, my vision for Gloucester County Schools is that we educate our kids better. I talked with one of the school teachers, and I said, you know, I really would rather give you a raise than build a new building. And he said to me, I would rather have my old classroom at Page back than to have a raise.
Excuse me, Mr. Weber, we're asking for more volume than that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Would everyone please turn your volume up for us hearing impaired back here?
Maybe you should move up front. I'm glad I'm sitting next to her.
I'd be glad to come up there with it.
But my three daughters, two of them graduated from Gloucester High School, and the other one graduated from another high school. But 2 out of 3 don't live in the county, and they. Did you take his time?
I did.
Anyway, 2 of them live outside
Give
of the
back
county.
5 seconds.
Add it back. This is a football matter. 2 of them graduated from Gloucester, and they've done very well. But all 3 work out of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is solely for the York District candidates and the at-large candidate. I'll begin with Mr. Blake. And the question is, all say business friendly. How will you make county government authorities be the same?
You said business friendly.
Yes. And how will you make county government authorities be the same?
Well, I think we need to look at our rules and regulations that we have on the books now and see what could be tweaked, for lack of a better word, to make it so that the businesses would not have as much red tape and get to run around and things of that kind to get the permits that they need to start a new business. Oh, I thought you, when you start a business out and you come to the county to get a permit, everybody keeps telling me that when you go up there to get your permits, you go here and you go there and you don't get any cooperation from the county to get it done. And we need to make that happen on a more friendly basis.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
I'm not sure what the authority part of the question is, but to become more business friendly, I do agree that we have to cut out a lot of the red tape and regulations for businesses to come in. I've heard from a lot of citizens that Gloucester is not business friendly. However, I also think that we also need to prove that we have a workforce that will supply that business with the workforce that they need. And I think a lot of businesses don't want to come here because they're not sure that they'll have workers from here, and most people don't want to commute to Gloucester to come to work. We like to live here. I just come here to work.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer?
Is my volume okay? It doesn't go any higher.
Hi.
I'm an advocate of a zero-based regulatory environment, which means as you do your business day to day, you're subject to a slew of federal and state regulations that already control a lot of what you do. I think for Gloucester to write a regulation and put it on top of what already exists at the federal and state level, there has to be a very compelling reason for Gloucester to be different. So we need to go back, look at our rules and regulations, and get rid of all the rules we don't absolutely have to have that are county specific.
Thank you. Mrs. Mickle?
Well, I agree with Mr. Meyer. There's a lot of rules that are just very redundant, and some of them just take up a lot of time, and you go for a permit, you see everybody sitting around, and I'll come back in 2 weeks. And, well, what are you doing? You know? I'm not trying to take that to lunch, I'll get my permit. But I tried to open a brownie factory here one time. I was going to buy a $500,000 piece of land. I was told, buy the land, get a site plan done, which costs $80,000, and then we'll let you know if you can do it. Well, I'm not that stupid. So I'm not going to spend $580,000 to find out if I can do it or not, just have somebody say, oh no. So we need a few more friends.
Thank you. And Mr. Bazzani?
Yes, I'll stand up so that you can be the educator that I am. I speak loudly anyway. Because I do mergers and acquisitions work, my finger is on the pulse with these strategic buyers and these strategic investors, especially the ones out of Baltimore and Washington, D.C. They keep telling me, I keep telling them, we are Gloucester County. We are on the Interstate 95, 64 corridor. Why aren't you looking at Gloucester County to expand some of the portfolio businesses you have down here? So I do have a finger on the pulse. And you know what their response is? Their response is, you're too hard to deal with. You're too hard to deal with. You take, for an example, a simple little thing, like the Sunrise Donuts, little dentist shop right next to the Sunrise Donuts place. I call it the sidewalk to nowhere. Now, why are we building a sidewalk? Why are we hindering businesses from doing something like that, to have a sidewalk to nowhere? That's really small. But when you're hearing it from the investment community who want to expand their businesses in Virginia, that's pretty telling. It's pretty telling they don't want to do business with us. So, roadblocks.
Thank you, Mr. Bazzani. And I'll remind all the candidates about volume. I can see their faces from here. So. Our next question is for Mrs. Mickle individually, but of course the other candidates have a chance to respond after her response. The question for you, Mrs. Mickle, is what specific regulations have hardship to which businesses? Which specific regulations have brought hardship to which businesses? Excuse me.
Well, it's hard to say which specific one. The site plan ordinance, you go to the health department. I wanted to put 2 wells on the same piece of property. The lady said, well, you need 2 applications. Well, you're coming down to the same piece of property. I'm just putting 2 wells on it. And then she says, well, that's okay. I'll just Xerox the other one. And then I told her, she said, well, that'll be another $300. I said, well, why don't you just Xerox a check too? You know, that makes no sense. They're coming down to the same piece of property. And that's the kind of stupid things that makes no sense at all. I think common sense should be authorized.
Thank you. Would any other candidate like to respond? Thank you. We'll move on. Our next question is for all candidates. Are you aware of county ordinances that are not in accordance with the Code of Virginia? What will you do to bring all county ordinances into compliance? And we will begin with Mr. Keller.
Okay, so Jenkins, sorry. I am not aware of any ordinances that are not within state regulations. However, you know, if any are brought to the attention of the board, that's got to be a #1 priority. We have to, you know, there's a trickle-down effect. The federal government puts out some ordinances, and then the state, they kind of build on them a little bit. But you can't go back on any ordinances that have come from above you. So if the county's not following any of the rules that are put out by the state, we either have to fix the rule that we're not following, or at least go to the state and get authorization not to use it so we don't lose any funding or any type of things like that. So.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer?
I'm not aware of anything specifically, but I know going through the county and the state regulations, it's sometimes very difficult when you're reading the county rule to know whether or not it's an original county rule or just repeating what the state told you to do. I think if you go back to the zero-based regulatory approach, not to repeat myself, it'll help eliminate any redundancies between county and state regulations.
Thank you. Mrs. Mickle?
I'm not particularly aware of any. I read the codes a lot. I have an engineering and surveying background, so that's one of my big things, to read zoning and read codes. I don't know of anything in particular. If I found it, I would have brought it up to someone. And if we do find that, you just have to address it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Weinbacher?
Well, I actually have some issues with some of the ordinances we have, because when I went to get a land disturbance permit, I was told, they gave me a sheet of paper, and I was told that I had to get a permit from DCR to clear my lot. And when I talked to the guy from DCR, he said, yeah, but then I talked back to the county guy, And he said, no, you don't have to do it. But it's, like I say, it's a contest between, the county and the state sometimes on what you actually have to do. And it makes it more and more murky. I know Mr. Wells understands completely. I'm sure he's been through the same thing. The state tells you one thing and the county tells you another, and you don't really know, what to do to stay in line with the rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bazzani?
Yes, I'm not aware of any regulatory roadblocks, but in speaking with a lot of the folks in the county, a lot of the businesses that I've met, we've had many years and instances of where county officials wrongly interpreted the regulations that are there, keeping them from doing what they needed to do. So if you interpret a specification or you interpret a regulation, interpret it the way it's supposed to be read. Don't show a gray area. It has to be black or white. We can't have any more misinterpretation of regulations for businesses you're trying to grow here.
Thank you. Mr. Blake?
I'm not aware of any either, but I think I'd probably have to agree with Mr. Bazzani on that. How you interpret something makes a lot of difference. You can look at it from one side or the other side, and it can't be both ways. You've got to have it one way or the other, and you need to get in line with, if it's a state regulation, then follow that. If it's a county, then they need to get it back so it's in line with the state regulation.
Thank you. And Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, I don't know of any county ordinances that are not in compliance with the code either. I think a lot has been said. I agree with most everything. I think interpretation is very important. But I would add this, if there were a situation where the county had an ordinance that was not in compliance, and I agree with what Mr. Keller said, it would be of utmost importance for the board to act on it and act on it promptly and make sure that we get it in line with all state and federal and county regulations. We don't want anything to be illegal or out of the ordinary or something that's totally not understandable by the general public.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Jenkins specifically. Of course, all other candidates have a chance to respond. The question to you, Mr. Jenkins, is as a citizen, why did you not speak out against building a new school if the county has a replacement policy for the old Page?
Why did I not speak out about building a school? My understanding was we had no choice. The tornado knocked down the other school, and and it was beyond repair, and we could not rebuild it. I don't know all of the details that went into the decisions that were made to build the school where they built it. That pretty much is a decision that's already made, and the responsibility of this board moving forward, the current board and the new board, and if I'm elected, then we need to come up with the ways to pay the expenses that have been incurred by the construction of the new Page Middle School, and also to make it the best possible place to educate our middle school children.
Thank you. Would any other candidate like to reply as well, Mr. Bazzani?
Yes, I believe that we have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of Gloucester County to explore all alternatives before we resorted to building a new school. It was my understanding that we did have a replacement policy. We should have explored that alternative first before resorting to tax increases for everyone here. It's going to affect all of us. We should have resorted to the least expensive alternative. That's what I did for a living. You all explore all the cost alternatives before you decide on the most expensive one. Try the cheapest one first. We would have had children back in school today, not riding these buses I told you about earlier. So we have a fiduciary responsibility as Board of Supervisor members to explore all possibilities and find the cheapest one that doesn't impact the taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Weinberger?
I would have to disagree with Mr. Jenkins. I think that we should, just like Mr. Bazzani said, have explored every possibility. I believe that we left a lot of money on the table, and that's taxpayer money that we, the taxpayers, are going to have to pay out that would have been covered by insurance money had we gone a different route. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next, yes, excuse me, Mr. Blake.
I'd also like to say that whether we like the decision or not about the school. The school is being built at another location, and certainly we have to pay for it, but we don't have any choice. It's no need to talk about what we should have done. We need to look to the future of what needs to be done to pay for this new school and not where it was located. I should say, but all of that is history now. There's no need for us to keep talking about where it was located, why, this and that, all about it. It's a moot point at this point.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Please, Mrs. Nichol.
I think it's important, I know we have to pay for where it is now, but I think it's important to talk about, to notice that we missed an opportunity to save money. Now, instead of 65 cents per $100, it's going to cost us 69.5 cents per $100 now on our new taxes. And we need to revisit history or you're doomed to repeat it. So I think we should look back at what we could have done differently and think about that the next time we do something like that.
Thank you. And last call. Our next question is for all candidates as well. Preliminary reports show we are $1.8 million in the black. How do you feel we can cut more and pass savings on to the taxpayers? And we'll start with Mr. Meyer.
I think that's very good news. We got $250,000 of additional revenue above what we expected, and $1.5 million less spending than we expected. So what I find is that we have incurred over the coming fiscal year an additional debt loading of $1.5 million or so from the Page Middle School construction. So what I just heard to me is good news that we won't have to increase taxes if we can maintain these savings in the county administrative budget. And if we can continue to increase tax revenues, we could cover the Page Middle School without having to increase the tax rate, as you mentioned, Marcia.
Thank you. Mrs. Nichol?
That's great news, but we still owe a lot of money. And I mean, like we borrowed money to put air conditioners, to fix air conditioners on school. If we have all this money sitting aside, why didn't we use that and fix them as it came instead of getting money to fix air conditioners on existing schools whenever it needs it? Now we're going to have to pay back almost $8 million on a $5 million loan. So we got all this money, we should have never borrowed $5 million.
Thank you. Mr. Weinberger?
I believe that it's good news also, but I think what we have looming is the reassessment, which as a builder, I know that property values have gone down. And the county needs a lump of money. They need the same amount of money every year, or it increases a little bit every year. And what's going to happen, it's all smoke and mirrors. They're going to lower your assessment, and because they lower your assessment, they need the money, so they're going to have to raise the taxes. And that's something that right now we're in the black, but I think in the future we're going to be in dire straits. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bazzani?
Yes, what I think happened, and we did, and I agree, we did get a 1.8 million shortfall, but we came about it in a different way. We have budget years and fiscal years. And when we had a tax increase in June, they clawed back all the way to January. So the monies you see coming in today were those clawbacks they took all the way back to January. And that's why we have these surpluses today. And that's going to continue on. If we continue, as a board of supervisors, I want to have one fiscal year, no budget years. One fiscal year, and if you have to do the taxes, then you do them in a way that doesn't claw back to January time period. Let's see again. So that's probably the best answer.
Thank you. Mr. Blake?
It's good news, and I hope that maybe we can use some of that savings to hold back tax increase for the coming year. We never know what the county administrator or the staff will come up with when it's time to do the budget for next year, but hopefully that'll save us some of that money that we have to pay for the new school.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I too agree that that's good news, but it seems like there's some varying opinions on how the $1.8 million is where it is today. But anyway, $1.8 million is a fair amount of money, but in the bigger scheme of things, it's really not that much when you look at a $100 million budget for the county. I think moving forward, possibly the board maybe needs to get with the school board and we look at some consolidation plans. I know those consolidating certain services has been discussed in the past. And, one of the things that comes to mind is maybe vehicle maintenance would be a combined effort. I think currently we have two separate entities that are maintaining motor vehicles for the county and the school. But, that would be one thing I'd like to see explored is some consolidated efforts between the two boards.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
Again, it's great news if we have $1.8 million left over, but I'll tell you, at my house, when I have money left over after I get paid, I don't just go out and spend it on something. I put it away for the rainy day. So I think if anything, that $1.8 million should be put aside and held, and that way, if next year we need that $1.8 million, we don't have to increase taxes to get it. Or if after a while we still have it left, we can pay down some of these loans that we have prior to having to pay as much interest. So I don't think we should run out trying to find something to buy with our $1.8 million. I think we should make sure it's kept around and held on for a rainy day.
Thank you. Our next question again for all candidates will begin with Mrs. Nichol. What cuts would you make in the budget?
Personally, I would cut the planning department if they have too many people. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell the truth. They got too many people in the planning department, and they're hiring another one. If you look back on what on the things that they are working on, they give the Board of Supervisors a list every month or so of the things they're working on. Some of those things date back to 2005. They're not finished with those yet. They're not finished looking at those things. It doesn't take that long to look over a set of plans. I know they're just holding it on, oh, we're working on all this stuff. But if you get rid of the things and have only the last couple or 3 years, just maybe 5 things on the list. You don't need that many people to work on that many things.
Thank you. Mr. Weinberger?
I would have to concur with that. I've been on the Planning Commission 13 years, and our last meeting was 1 hour. The meeting before that was 40 minutes, and the meeting before that was 30 minutes. And I don't see us doing that much, but like she said, they're trying to hire another one. But I believe that there are a lot of departments in the county that could use a trimming. And we have, we're bloated in a lot of things. I believe we're bloated in Parks and Rec, we're bloated in community education, and we're bloated in community development. Community development, I've been here for 40 years and hadn't seen a lot of it. And the department just keeps going on and on, but they're not doing what I believe they should do. And that's all I can say with my time left.
Thank you. Mr. Bazzani?
Yes, the answer that I would have is implementing a zero-based budget in this county. When you implement a zero-based budget, and I'll explain what it is. We all do it at home. We all simply do it at home. Very simple way. If your income is $100 and your expenses are $125, you look at every single line item in your budget, every single line item, and cut things. Maybe we won't go to the restaurant 5 times a week. Maybe we'll cut out a movie or 2 this weekend. Maybe we'll cut the cable bill. But either way, you bring the $125 expense down to 100. 100 income minus 100 in expenses equals 0. And I will tell you that a zero-based budget, we did that every quarter for our shareholders. You will find waste and inefficiencies with a zero-based budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blake?
Businesses use zero-based budgets all the time, but all governmental agencies use performance-based budget, which means it's a lot different. Zero-based budget, you're looking at the bottom line. Performance-based budgets, you have a bunch of budgets, you put them all together, and you try to, each one has to balance their own budget. Zero-based, as I say, it's the bottom line for a business, and they're not concerned about the services or the mandates and so forth that we have in government, where you have all these various things. A simple example, in a performance-based budget, you buy pencils, then what are you going to do with those pencils? That's the simple thing. You buy them in a zero base, but then in a performance base, what are you going to do with those pencils after you buy them? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, I don't know that there would be anything in particular I would point out to cut. I think what needs to be done by the board is the board would need to sit down and take a very close look and evaluate all programs. And those programs that are working well, maybe look at ways to improve them or refine them. And in that process, and also evaluate the programs and projects that are not working so well, and look at whether they need to be eliminated or whether there would be options that you could look at to improve.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
I think that every department within the county should be challenged to become as self-sufficient as possible. They should look for ways to generate revenue that are outside of the tax-based money that they get. And there's a lot of departments that can generate money from the people who use those departments instead of generating their money from the general fund of the rest of the county. Obviously, we had a $1.8 million shortfall this year. Then we've done some cutting, and obviously there's a need for more in the future. But each department, has to be looked at individually, and without being heavily involved in each department, I couldn't name any department that needs to be cut right off the bat.
Thank you.
I think you have two time frames you need to look at. The first one is the near term, which is the preparation for the budget that goes into effect on the 1st of July. In that case, I advocate that we just freeze the current spending levels. Now, we have, as I understand it, a well-paid administrator and deputy administrators, and I think it's well within their capacity to look through their departments and find, if necessary, 1 or 2 or 3% of savings. In the long term, we need to overhaul the budget process completely. We need to do a structural audit of the county administration so that every department fully understands what its responsibilities and its functions are and develops metrics to be able to measure how they're accomplishing those. That will allow you ultimately to prioritize your functions and your spending within each department and develop line item by line item priority throughout the county department.
Thank you. I'll remind candidates about volume as well. I'm reading facial expressions and passing the message along. Our next question. If you are elected, do you have a plan to moderate or reduce the level of taxation on Gloucester residents, property owners, and businesses? If yes, will you please explain? Mr. Weinbarger.
I do. Can you hear me back there? I do. I've told my constituents when I talk with them that I personally will not vote to raise their taxes. But their taxes may be raised by the other folks. But what I think we need to do is look back into the county government as a whole and say, where can we cut, what can we fix, what can we make work more efficiently to bring out some of this money that we would otherwise have to raise taxes for.
Thank you. Mr. Pisani? Absolutely. If you are elected, do you have a plan to moderate or reduce the level of taxation on Gloucester residents, property owners, and businesses? If yes, will you please explain?
Yes, there is a possibility that you can reduce the tax burden in Gloucester County. And one way to do that is to bring businesses in here. You increase the tax base in the business area, you lessen the tax base in other areas, but especially for us, the citizens who live here. I will tell you, if Gloucester County is not careful, we're going to end up like Bocosi. Resident rich, business poor. And they're paying high taxes just like Hampton we produce. So there is a way.
Thank you. Mr. Blake?
I almost had to say ditto what Mr. Lazine said. You've got to increase our tax base. And as I said earlier, get more business friendly so that people, the businesses will want to locate in Gloucester. That's the only thing that's going to keep our taxes from increasing.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, as I said earlier, the board needs to work together to diversify our tax base in some way, shape, or form. And I agree with Mr. Bazzani, Mr. Blake say, I think more jobs is one of those answers. 60% of our people commute out of this county every day to go to work. And when those people leave the county, they're buying gasoline, they're buying groceries, they're buying all kinds of goods and services outside the county before they come back. If we could establish a good, strong business base in the county to keep our people here, they're going to spend more money here, giving the board of supervisors the opportunity to lessen the tax burden on the property.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
I hate to do this, but towards the end, we always have to say, I agree with what everybody else said. But, you know, we have to increase our business tax base in Gloucester County and not continue to rely on the taxes of the individuals and the property owners. And also, you know, with the increased businesses in the county, you'll have increased residents in the county who come to live here because they want to live closer to work. So that will increase the tax base as well. But unless we can increase the tax base, it's going to be really hard to really cut enough to lower the taxes in Gloucester County, because everything for the government and for us as individuals continues to get more expensive. So, you know, it's got to be an increase in tax base in order to see a decrease in personal tax.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer?
Just to be clear, in the long term, the increase in the tax base results from there being more businesses in Gloucester. Okay, in the short term, how do you get them to come here in the first place? Well, I hate to be contrary, but the thing you need to do is offer them tax incentives to come here. So one of the things I would propose is we consider a tax holiday for a new start business or a business relocating to the county for 3 years, where for 3 years, this business, when it needs its own money the most, only has to pay business registration fees or licensing fees, $50. And after that, it's back into the fray.
Mrs. Nichols?
Well, we do need more tax base. I mean, everyone agrees on that. But another thing is we need to use our money more wisely. When I was in the Board of Supervisors one night and I saw them sell Building 3, which was assessed by our assessor for $600,000, I don't know exactly, and they sold it for $200,000 and then rented it back from them for $3.50 or $4.50 a square foot. I mean, that makes no sense at all. I don't even see how that even makes sense to anyone at all. I wanted one of those buildings. I'll buy one for $200,000 that's assessed at $600,000 on Main Street, and then they can rent it back to me. They're paying somebody's mortgage. That's not sound business. We need to have sound business too.
Thank you. Wow. Our next question is to all candidates as well. We'll begin with Mr. Blake. What would you do to bring jobs to the county?
What do you do? Well, hopefully, he's laughing at me.
You've answered it.
What do you do? Well, I guess Mr. Myers had a good one when you say you give them a tax break. But you have to make the county, again, more business friendly in the rules and regulations that we have. That's one of the first things to look at, how hard it is to get a business started in the county. And once you get it started, you know, how much is your taxes going to be and all these type things that go with it.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I also agree with that. We need to take a look at the rules and the regulations and the permitting and policies and things that are in place. And it's apparent to me that that needs to be improved upon so that we can entice new businesses to come here. We also need to make it easier for our existing businesses to expand. There are several state programs that you can tap into. It's, the Virginia Department of Business, Virginia Department of Economic Development has programs that can help new businesses purchase equipment. They can help them with workforce training. They can help them with certain tax incentives. I think all of those things need to be looked at when we are looking to invite new businesses and to help our existing businesses expand.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
I think as we look to bring businesses into Gloucester County, we need to make sure that we're bringing in businesses to generate jobs for the citizens of Gloucester County and that they fall into line with what our citizens are looking for jobs for. It doesn't do us any good to bring in a business that's going to bring all of their employees from York County or from outside the county. So I believe earlier Mr. Meyer mentioned some like light manufacturing and those type of jobs that are jobs that everybody would be eligible for, and not just a few people who are either already working or would have to be retrained to take those jobs. So I think we got to bring in the right kind of business for the job market to increase.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer?
I put a cautionary note here that we have to make sure that we retain the quality of life items that make this county a great place to live. People are going to relocate here if they like the schools, if we have parks and recreation available, if the water runs clean, if the medians are mowed on the highway. The other thing that we need to do that we're not doing is we need to advertise the county better. If you go to the York County website, York County advertises itself under economic development as the greatest place on the planet. All lines of communication come to York County, highest educated, skilled workforce in the world. I mean, that's how it reads, and jumps out at you and says, I got to go there to create my business. You go to the Gloucester County Economic Development site on the webpage, and it refers you to all the Virginia economic development sites. So you really don't see anything until you come to Gloucester.
Thank you. Mrs. Nichol?
Like we said before, you have to make it more enticing for people to come here. But I think a big thing we can do, and also to keep our kids here, not everyone wants to go to college. Not everyone should go to college. It would be a waste of money. I think that with the school working in conjunction, you could have like kids that are working like maybe half a day in school, and then they go to a job in the county, even within the county itself. And we can bring people into the county that way. Every time I go up to the county, it's always somebody from Matthews that's working in our county. Not that I don't like Matthews, it's a nice place. I like Old Point and stuff. But I think we need to get a way to get our kids into the county.
Thank you. And Mr. Weinberger?
Well, we need to bring jobs to the county, of course, but we got to bring businesses to get jobs here. We're fairly business unfriendly, but we had a focus group not long ago that went on for about 6 months, and they talked about all the heavy rules and regulations, because back in the 80s we were the fastest growing county in the state. Well, we have a lot of those regulations still here, and it's holding us back from actually doing any business now, and it's hurting our businesses. I talked to a man, we have a thing called a highway corridor overlay, which it really restricts the businesses that are built on 17 and 14. And I talked to the guy that built the Burger King, who built up and down the east coast of Burger King, and he said because of some of our rules and regulations, that Burger King cost him $50,000 more to build because of our red tape. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bizzani?
Yes, we've touched on a couple of things. The one that's on my mind the most is Mother May Eyes for site plans. You know, we have to make these businesses who come here, especially the small businesses, the backbone of our whole economic infrastructure. We're making small businesses do site plans just for a Mother May Eye. Want them to spend $80,000, $90,000 for a site plan rather than opposed to going to a PowerPoint and say, here's my conceptual drawing of how I want to expand businesses here in Gloucester County. You take the site work that was done here at the school. That was done by an outside firm. We had a firm in Gloucester County that employs 35, 40 people who could have done that work. And they didn't miss that bid by much. So here again, we lost an opportunity here in Gloucester County.
Thank you. Our next question is for all candidates, and I don't know who could volunteer to keep track. If elected, explain in 50 words or less what you will do for me as a Gloucester County resident. So in 50 words or less, if elected, explain what you will do for me as a Gloucester County resident. And we can start with Mr. Jenkins.
Okay, 50 words or less. What I could do is work as hard as I possibly can to not raise your taxes.
Mr. Keller.
And all I can say is, the only thing I can promise all the constituents of Gloucester County as an at-large candidate is that I will represent you and the citizens of Gloucester County. I'm a board of 7 people, and I'll work hard for whatever you, as the citizens, want as a majority.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer?
Did his extra words come out of my words? Well, it's 40 years. Well, I think the goal of the Board of Supervisors is to give the citizens the best possible deal for their tax dollars. Make this the best place you can for everybody to spend.
Thank you. Mrs. Mickle?
The thing I would do is I would make sure I represent the people, and that includes reading everything, reading all the zoning, reading everything. And that's what I think we need to do as a board.
Thank you. Mr. Weinberger?
Well, I would like to try to bring some common sense to the board. I saw a financial deal made one night that was, they borrowed $5 million for 15 years to repair things that would only last 10 years. So that means for 5 years we're going to be paying on the new and the old. And I've been having my own business for 34 years, and I wouldn't be in business if I did business like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bazzani.
Yes, my whole thing is interacting with the citizens in this county. I have a website that I'm going to continue to maintain. And so I'm going to look for email addresses. I'm going to synopsize the board agendas and ask everybody, say, how do you feel about these issues? Communicating with the citizenry is what I'm all about.
Thank you, Mr. Blake.
Again, I think we need to work hard for all the citizens of Gloucester, not one group or one district, and they work hard for all of the citizens in whatever decisions we might make.
Thank you. Now it is time for closing statements. Each candidate has 2 minutes, and we'll begin with Mr. Weinberger.
Well, I hope to be elected in the Patchwork District because I believe I'm the best man for the job. I've been in Gloucester 40 years. I've been on the Planning Commission 13 years. I've seen a lot of the ins and outs that we do here that are good and bad. I want to bring common sense to the board. They sometimes seem to be lacking. We need to sharpen our pencils and bring our finances into focus and see what we can do about spending a little more wisely. I don't think that our current board has been a good steward of our money. I went to a board meeting, 2 board meetings ago. They were trying to borrow this money. They were trying to find out from the finance people in Gloucester County how much money we actually had that was unencumbered. And at those 2 meetings, they never got an answer. They got an answer 2 weeks later, and it was, we had a phenomenal amount of money, but we didn't use our own money. We borrowed money. We're going to pay $2.5 to $3 million in interest, and I think that it's a tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bazzani.
Yes, I've lived here. I've lived in Gloucester since we only had 2 minutes, 3 minutes the first time. I've lived here 32 years. My lovely wife, Susie. My kids were born and raised here. But my thing is representing the citizens of this county. And the resonating thing that I've heard from the thousands of people that I've talked to in person is that it's all about my pocketbook. It's my pocketbook that's important, Philip. Please protect my pocketbook. And I will tell you, I am so frugal that when I open my wallet, fruit flies come out of it. So I want to treat your tax money like it's mine. I did that. I was an overachiever when I was working. I'm an overachiever now. And I want to use that overachieving attitude with the citizenry and the board of supervisors here in Gloucester County. So if I can spend our money wisely and become fiduciary responsible to the citizens of the county, then that's what I think I've done my job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blake?
Again, I'd like to emphasize my proven governmental experience. Hopefully, this experience I've had in the past, historical experience, you learn from sometimes what went wrong in the past and what you can do to make it better in the future. It definitely has some effect when you have spent 30 years of your life serving the citizens of Gloucester. I've seen a lot of things, good and bad, take place in that length of time. And I believe that experience will be helpful in the coming year. I think one thing we all have to remember is we are only one person of 7. One of 7. And I can promise you so-called the moon, but I cannot deliver that unless I can get the agreement of 3 other people. It's very important that we be able to work in and get consensus on the board of what we want to see happen in the county. And the last thing I guess I'll throw out that I'm being endorsed by our current supervisor, Mr. Carter Boyd.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I would like to be able to use my experience in dealing with budgets. I helped develop 12 school board budgets while I served on the Gloucester County School Board. And just divulge for a second on one, and I can't remember what year it was, but we came up short of $1 million. And we acquired the space at Carter's Cove clubhouse and sat there one afternoon and trimmed $1 million out of that school budget and balanced it before we left. So, you know, I have done that as a member of the school board. I have managed budgets in my career and my professional development down through the years, utilizing basically federal government funds. So I would like to be able to utilize my experience and my understanding of the budgeting process to help move Gloucester forward. I also agree with Mr. Blake. If elected, I would only be one of 7. You need to find 3 other friends before you can get anything done. So I would also agree in him that we need to push for consensus and some common ground amongst all 7 people there and help to move Gloucester forward. I don't want to dwell on the past. I want to be a part of moving Gloucester forward, and we need to do that by coming up with solutions with the minimum, the most minimum impact on our county taxpayers. And communication is the last thing I'll say is key. There's a lot of discussion going around, a lot of conversation about the school board and the board of supervisors. I think it's imperative that the two boards communicate. They need to hold more joint meetings possibly. When I was on the school board, we did that regularly, and every year came up with a consolidated capital improvements list.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
I'll start with the number one question I get when I approach anybody and tell them that I'm running for the board of supervisors. The question I get is why? And the reason why I'm running for the board of supervisors is because I'm crazy. No, I'm just kidding. The reason why I'm running for the board of supervisors is because I've always believed in my life that you can't sit around and complain and about what's going on unless you do something about it. So I felt compelled to throw my name in the hat and get out and do something about the problems that I saw or at least perceived in our local government. I also felt that it was time for people to be represented as a whole and not represented as a group, whether it be a special interest group, a lobbyist group, a party, or anything like that. I believe that you're elected to represent the entire county of Gloucester County as the at-large supervisor. And also, I love to do public service. I love to be a public servant. People ask me why I want to be a politician. Tell them a politician is what you do to get elected. Once you get elected, you become a public servant. Your job is to serve the public. And that's all. That's my desire, is to serve the public. I think my ability to think outside the box and come up with creative solutions to problems is something that Gloucester needs. It's something the state needs. It's something the federal government needs. Politics as usual just does not work anymore. We don't live in the same environment that we lived in even yesterday, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So I look forward to representing the citizens of Gloucester County after I'm elected on November 5th. And I look forward to talking to everybody and hearing about what they do like and don't like about Gloucester County. And like I said earlier, to continue to make this a great place to live and hopefully for a lot of people a great place to work with increased business. And I'll finish up with one thing. I have been endorsed by the Gloucester Education Association as a candidate. So thank you all for coming out today.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer?
A couple thoughts I'd like to leave you with. Well, let's cap government spending to reduce the tax burden on both the citizens and small businesses. 2, let's go ahead and explore zero-based regulations as a way to run the county in the future. 3, let's aggressively market Gloucester County and businesses outside the county as a place to come and work. Next, let's establish and maintain open communications. Make sure that the citizens and Board of Supervisors talk to each other frequently, often, and that your supervisor is listening to you. Also, communications within the Board of Supervisors is very important, which is why I've reached out and had extended conversations with each of the district candidates prior to this date. I have no doubt in my mind that I could easily work with any one of these. What we're looking for in the long term, 5 years down the road or so, is that we experience in Gloucester County an invigorated business environment, that we and our children see higher paying jobs, and that we grow the revenue base, so that the county is more readily able to provide the services that we, the county citizens, request of. I ask for your vote on November 5th, a vote for a more efficient government, and a vote for a more prosperous county. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Mickle?
Well, I just would like to reiterate, we need to get this county working, because without a great tax base, it's going to come out of our pockets. The people, whether you're going to pay for personal property or you pay on your car, what is it, $2.95 now per 100? And the other thing is, sometimes a lot of people tell me they think the board is like an elitism to them. They feel like they can't talk to people, and they feel like they can't, well, what am I going to do? And I keep telling people, well, don't be, you're not helpless and you're not hopeless. You know, you talk to them. Well, I go up there and they tell me I can't do this and I can't do that. Well, the day that the gentleman told me that I needed a wetlands impact study to put gravel on top of my gravel is when I decided to run for the Board of Supervisors. I mean, common sense has to come from somewhere. That makes no sense at all. And I think that's what we have to do. Like Mr. Meyer said, but these regulations are killing us. They're absolutely killing us. And the other thing I'd like to say is I have not accepted any monetary donations. And if elected, I will donate my entire salary to the Fire Rescue Squad. I said that from the beginning. I joined the military to serve my country. I'm a 5th generation Army. I'm married Navy. I have a son that was Air Force. I think there's nothing better that a person can do than serve the people around them and their country. And I would appreciate your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. And thank you, everyone, for coming and showing your commitment to make an informed decision. It's greatly appreciated.
And let's thank our moderator, who is going to help us again tomorrow night. Thank you, candidates, for going through this process and for running for office. There are only 7 of you. I wish there were 20. We need more and more people like you who are willing to try to help their community. So thank you all for coming. Pick one of these people for your next board.